Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. My name is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey. I am the founder and host of Let's Talk Supply Chain, the co-founder and CEO of Ships, as well as the host of the new conversation around diversity and inclusion called Blended. And I'm super excited to be here with you for Thoughts and Coffee, another episode of Thoughts and Coffee this Tuesday. We've got a lot of exciting things that are happening over at Let's Talk Supply Chain. As you have probably noticed, I've gotten a new mic. It's just come in over the last couple of days. I've just installed it. I also have a new webcam. I mean, things are just rocking and rolling over here at Let's Talk Supply Chain. We've also got some new announcements as well. But before we do that, let's talk about our new episode for the week. So this week, I sit down with Edmund, and he is the CEO of BidOps, and we talk all about what they're doing, who they are, what exactly do they do. I am sure you've heard the name BidOps before, but maybe you don't know what it is that they do. So this episode goes into a deep dive into what they do, and they've got this really, really cool negotiation feature. It's like an automated negotiation, which I think is very, very cool. So you can go and check that out over at letstalksupplychain.com/podcast. We also have this category filter. So if you're looking for a solution to any of your supply chain challenges, we have got the episode or the company for you, and you can actually source that through our category filter. The other one that I wanted to bring up is our latest episode of Blended, which is our new conversation in diversity and inclusion. And on this episode, we talk about equality versus diversity. What's the difference? And this is a lively episode. Julie, Adrian, Sabrina, and Julian really, really bring it for this episode. So again, it's episode 194, wherever you subscribe to the Let's Talk Supply Chain podcast, and let us know what you think. We're getting a lot of really, really great feedback on this particular series. Next, let's talk a little bit about the upcoming events that we've got going on. So this is coming up. I am hosting this conversation in partnership with Six Rivers, and we're talking about automation in the warehouse, and it's happening Thursday, May 27th, and we start out with a panel discussion. So 4 to 5 o'clock is a panel discussion, and then at 5 o'clock, there's actually a mixology class. So if you go to Let's Talk Supply Chain LinkedIn, find this post and register, you're actually going to get a kit, and we're going to do a whole mixology class, which I'm super, super excited about. And then, of course, on June 3rd, I'm going to be hosting the first panel discussion or fireside chat at Digital Futures. This is in partnership with Procurement Foundry, and I'm really excited about that because we've got a lot of really fun things to discuss in our conversation about elevating the craft of procurement through digital transformation. And then, of course, we've got Manifest that's coming up in January. Go and check that out. There's a lot of amazing speakers that are coming out of that. So I do want to make a couple of announcements because we got some really exciting things coming up. There's a couple of things I still can't divulge, but one of the things that I can tell you about is that I am going to be new LinkedIn learning instructor for sustainable supply chains, and I cannot wait. This course is going to be coming out in the fall. I've been working on it for the last couple of months, and we're going to go into recording very, very soon, and so I can't wait to share that all with you guys. We've also got 2 new shows coming out. So we've got 2 brand new live stream shows. One is going to be hosted by Madison Mobley, and she is going to be talking all about diversity and inclusion. And then we've got a second show coming out aimed at the next generation of supply chain. We're going to get the next generation of supply chain excited about coming into this industry. And Abby, who runs our Let's Talk Supply Chain TikTok, is going to be the host of that. So stay tuned because these are going to come out by the end of this month on a Thursday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, and they are going to be 30 minutes just like this one. And again, I've got a couple more things that are coming out, but I'll wait to tell you about those. All right, so let's say hello to our guest today. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Sarah. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Oh, just fantastic. As I've often been heard to say, it's just another perfect day in paradise.
Well, and I guess the audience should know. So I'm sitting just outside of Toronto. You're sitting in Montreal. So we're both Canadian. We're both sitting in Canada, and we're both in lockdown, I think, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. Well, you're more locked down than we are.
I thought you guys had curfew.
Yeah, we have a 9:30 curfew, but we can still go golfing. The rest of Ontario can't.
Oh yeah, no, we can't go golfing. They've shut all of that down.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to come out of it May 20th, but they're talking about extending that. And I think we're going to learn about that a little bit later on today. But I don't know about you. I'm a little bit sick of it.
Oh, I'm fed up with it. It's time. You know, I went golfing last night with a couple buddies, and we sat around the fire pit and we had some beers afterwards, and then drove home. But the social interaction, we're missing it. We get a lot of the FaceTime and this type of interaction, but people to people, everybody's starving for it again.
Yeah. So why don't you give us all an introduction? Tell us who you are, what you do. I mean, you're a regular contributor to the comments section of I'm super excited to have you here. And I just want to let the audience know, because I know there's a lot of people in the audience that want to probably rib you a little bit. Feel free, go ahead. If you've got a question for Peter, you can do that too. We just have some fun. We have some fun today. So.
Exactly. So, as you said, I've been in supply chain and procurement, strategic procurement for 40 years. I started out in a warehouse as a summer job. I progressed through to inventory management, control, inside sales, did some telemarketing, and then went on to Air Canada for 25 years. So it's been a pretty well-rounded career. I've had a lot of fun. I enjoy. I love helping out other people and move things forward. Working with a friend right now on a product for a hand sanitizer. Dispensing unit. We're having a lot of fun. It's, dabble a little bit about everything and keep yourself busy.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So Davin said something about, that was a cheap shot. I have no idea what I said that was a cheap shot. Davin, can you just, And then Davin is really missing you today because he says he's missing my other half.
100%. I mean, look, Davin's one of the great people that I've met through this. Rhonda, again, also Rhonda. I mean, There are incredible people that I've had the opportunity to connect with and speak with and chat with, and the opportunities they're there. Yeah, and you have to just reach out and take them.
Yeah, they're endless. And you've just got to get involved, right? You've got to get involved with different things. So John said, you're out of lockdown on the 20th and New Jersey is going to remove all indoor mask restrictions on the 19th. We are so close, yet worlds apart with this pandemic. Isn't that just absolutely true? So Davin is not razzing you today. He's missing you. And he says that you're looking good.
Well, I'm sporting the Let's Talk colors. I tried to match as close as I could to the orange and gray.
That's awesome. So you matched the colors, and I decided to dress like a superpower, right? Green Lantern, and I've got my superhero mug. Yay!
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just felt like that today. So I wanted to put that on. All right. So what are we talking about today? So the question of the week and the thoughts and coffee post kind of go together. The question of the week that we're going to be asking everybody tomorrow on the Let's Talk Supply Chain, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, is how do you avoid burnout? And then the thoughts and coffee post, which I should probably put up right about now, is how do you manage stress? I don't know how we do this, but we tend to run our questions into our thoughts and coffee posts. And it's really funny because two different people on my team actually put these together. So it's kind of funny how they all work out. So let's talk about that. Peter, you've done a lot in your career. This last year has probably been one of the toughest, because it's been one of the toughest for everybody. But how do you avoid burnout? How do you manage stress?
Well, for me personally, stress is a self-inflicted entity. So recognizing those elements that you can control in your life and the elements that you cannot control in life is the first step to, frankly, managing or eliminating your stress. Pressure and stress are two different conversations. There's a lot of pressures in life, pressures to support the family, pressures to keep a roof over your heads, food on the table, a happy home environment. But that doesn't translate into stress for me, because I know what I can control and what I can't control. I've been working on that for a very long time. At Air Canada, the pressures to create value for the company and bring us forward, put a positive spin on the balance statement are there. They're always there, but it never translated into stress for me. I took it on as a challenge.
Yeah, you know what? Until the last year, I honestly didn't really experience burnout. But the last year, I've experienced it a couple of different times on a few different levels, just because there's been so much opportunity. There's been so many things that I've been involved in, and there hasn't been any rest time, right? Like usually I would go to Florida. So Florida and the beach in Sarasota is my home away from home, and I go at least twice a year. Well, I haven't been able to go since November 2019, and that's really my place to decompress, right? It takes a couple of days, but by the end of the time that I'm there, I am ready to come back. I am ready. I've got lots of ideas. Let's push forward. Let's do this. And haven't really had that, right? It's been like a day here, it's been a day there, or even if you take a couple of days off, you're still in your house. Like there's nowhere to go. You're still, all on top of each other. You can't really take that moment. So I've really experienced it a few times in the last couple of years. So, or in the last year or so. And so for me, it's really about being intentional about getting up, going for a walk if I want to go for a walk. If it's nice outside, making sure I get outside, because sometimes, too many times, I'm like into my work and, getting things done. And by the time I get outside, there's no more sun.
Agreed. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, it's, we as a family at the house, we pretty much walk every day. It's either right after my fiance finishes her work, we go out with my stepdaughters, my daughter, and we go for a 3-4 kilometer walk every day. For me, I get out and I golf. Yesterday I went out and I played, didn't have a spectacular round, but you're out with your buddies and you're having fun and you're enjoying the fresh air and you decompress. Even if you top one, duff one, throw one into the pond, you drop another one, hit it as hard as you can, find it and play again. Just enjoy.
You can't find mine. Like too far somewhere and you just can't find them. But that's a really good point, because I miss playing baseball. So baseball is my thing, right? I'm a catcher. I've been a catcher for 30 plus years. It's my thing. It's where I get to be with other people in a team environment. We get to have fun. It's a couple of hours out of the day that I really look forward to on a regular basis. But we haven't had that because we haven't been able to play team sports. And I really miss that. I was sure we were going to be able to pick it up and play again this year, but it doesn't look like we're going to get there. I mean, even if maybe we could have a shortened season, but I really, really miss team sports.
Yeah, no, I coached soccer for the last 25 years. Our season was cut short by COVID last year. Yeah. This year, the girls didn't want to sign up. So I've officially retired from coaching this year. Maybe next year will be different, but the girls, and they're all in their mid-20s. They just want to go out and play and have fun and be with their friends and enjoy a sport they love. And it's just not possible.
Exactly. Well, if you need help managing stress, reach out to Rhonda. Rhonda
yes.
is really, really good at this. It's what she does for a living. And she's great with talking through things and figuring out what you can do to help manage that stress and manage that burnout. A couple of things that I do, and I know I've talked about this on the show before, is gratitude journaling. I really, really think that, staying in gratitude and being able to be grateful for some of the things that happen during the day is super, super important. And also acknowledging your achievements. Like for that day, if you were able to get up and have a 5-minute workout, and that's something that you feel very good about, then that's an achievement for you one day. Maybe it's a 20-minute workout another day, but stop the judgment and just be in gratitude, and also just think about what you've accomplished. You know what I mean?
100%.
Feelings journal. Sorry.
Yeah.
Feelings journal. No. Writing it all out.
Yeah, and that's actually a great stress reliever because you've put it on paper, and then you can always revisit it back again in another day. Back to my statement, it's another perfect day in paradise, right? Yeah. It could be pouring rain out, but if you're walking on top of terra firma, it's a great day. When they're shoveling it onto your head, it's not going to be such a great day. So every day you're alive is a great day.
I love that, Peter. I love that. So I just want to give a shout out to Mustafa and Paula over on my personal LinkedIn. Thanks so much for joining us today. All right, we are getting to our first topic of the day. And let me just share this. So everybody knows I love the hustle, and I love when the hustle talks about supply chain. So this article came out just last week, and it's talking about just-in-time auto manufacturing and how they're having a rough time. A couple of things that really stood out for me was, the history lesson. So if you see here, they really talk about the history of just-in-time. And so in the 1920s, Ford mined its own iron, which it then used to build cars, but the company later shifted towards outsourcing. And then in the 1950s, Toyota went to an American supermarket, saw how items were restocked as needed, and tried to replicate the process for cars. And now, present day, companies from all sorts of industries, auto, Apple, McDonald's, Target, they use just-in-time to save on costs. But is that here to stay? So my question to the audience right now is, just-in-time or just in case? Are you going to stick with just-in-time, or are you going to go to just-in-case because of what has happened in the last year? Peter, what did you think of this article?
Well, I thought it's very telling, right? As you mentioned, the just-in-time has been around for a very, very long time. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think the supply chain and the procurement professionals are going to learn to diversify their supplier base a little bit better, and then come up with the best average cost from possibly 2 or 3 different sources of supply. Don't just put all your eggs into the one basket. I did it at Air Canada. We had 4 or 5 major food suppliers to service our needs when it came to in-flight catering. You could have gone whole hog with one guy. However, that would put you into a bind. Look at the chips right now. They went to the biggest factories, got the best price to reduce their overhead and their cost of goods sold. However, it's put them in a bind. The fire in Japan, perfect example.
Yeah, and that's what they talk about in this article, was the snow debacle in Texas closed a refinery that produces 85% of U.S. resins that are used to make seat cushions. So we've been hearing all about the chips, right? But we haven't been hearing about the backlog in seat cushions for cars. And then you mentioned the March fire at Japanese chip manufacturer. We've been hearing a lot more about that because that's been causing a lot more disruptions, I think. But because of those disruptions, they were saying that it could see, like Ford could see a 50% production hit and miss out on $2.5 billion in profit. Like, that's just crazy.
It's a big number. It's a big number. And again, we've offshored so much just to improve the bottom line. Margins are tight in certain different commodities. Airline margins are ridiculously tight. So every penny you can save goes directly to the bottom line. If you can save $10, that's $100 worth of sales that you don't have to increase your volume on, right? So it's the margin to sales, and you have to diversify it. You must diversify.
Yeah, well, and one of the great things, which we all know as supply chain professionals that companies should have been doing before, is that they need to put a focus on supply chain and a vertical supply chain, looking at diversifying manufacturing. Where are your suppliers? Where are your tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and what flows into them, right? I mean, that's an important part of the process.
It's the total picture. It's the inbound and the outbound. How do you balance both? You know, it's critical for a company's success.
Absolutely. All right. So we've got a couple of questions from the audience for you, which maybe we'll just do this now because I saw a couple. So Bali says, do you think the supply chain professionals are dealing with more stress of uncertainty?
I wouldn't say, again, there's pressures of uncertainty. Right? Nobody could have predicted a pandemic. Nobody could have predicted a fire. Nobody can predict an earthquake, a tsunami. Diversifying your supply base will eliminate the pressures that you will feel. The system is put to a certain pressure and a stress test. And it's proven not to have been successful only because people didn't diversify.
It's true. And then Sharky asks, tell us a bit more about when you were in the movie industry. Were you in the movie industry, Peter? Because inquiring minds want to know.
Well, yeah, thanks, Sharky. I appreciate that little comment there, Monsieur. But yeah, I started doing extra work a few years back. So I've done a few movies with Liev Schreiber and Tobey Maguire, and I was actually playing a pretty big part in the latest X-Men: Dark Phoenix, until they rewrote the entire story, and my 4 days on set all ended up in the garbage.
What?
Well, yeah, it was fun. It's an interesting facet of, you know, you go to the movies, you pay your $12, $15, $30 worth of popcorn and chips and peanuts, and you watch a movie, right? You're entertained for 2 hours.
What role did you play?
Well, I was actually with Liev Schreiber, I was a Russian tournament official. Yeah, do svidanya. And with Dark Phoenix, I was the president's aide.
Okay, very cool. So you might actually be my in. So nobody knows, I don't think anybody knows about this except for my close family and friends. One of my goals is that I would like to play a dead person on TV. I know it sounds really weird, but I need to find an in so that I can make this happen, because I'd like to be on a TV show or a movie, and I just like to play a dead person.
Well, then I need your headshot, height, weight, size.
Okay.
I'll send it to my agent and see what she can do for you.
I will do it. So a lot of you, I don't know if a lot of you know this, but to get over my fear of public speaking, I actually had a talent agent. So I ended up on live TV with Denise Richards twice. I ended up in Black's national campaign, and I ended up in a dog food commercial.
Serving it up, eh? Live and real.
I know. So maybe your agent can do a little better for me than what I had previously. But I got laughed out of so many audition rooms. That's why I just want to play a dead person, because I don't have to say anything. I don't have to memorize any lines, but I can be on camera.
It's easy. But I've so far had non-speaking roles, so it's more like smile, do the right thing, hit your mark, be in the right position, and then do what the assistant director tells you to do.
Davin's like, why a dead person? Because it's one of the easiest things to do. I just gotta lie there and I get paid. Anyway.
No, it's not that easy, because you can't breathe.
Oh, well, that's okay. I used to be a synchronized swimmer, so that part is not a big deal for me.
Oh, that's good. I went to high school with the Villagos twins. We all graduated together. Our silver medalists.
Cool. Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Awesome. All right. I think we need to get back onto supply chain. What do you think?
Yes, we do. It's 8 minutes and counting.
So, and I'm not even ready. All right. So this is an article. Yeah. So everybody, just so you know, Peter keeps me on schedule, on time for this particular show when he's in the audience. So he's going to do this now live. So this is an article that Peter brought to me. So Peter, over to you. What do you want to talk about this today?
Yeah. So really, you know, there's a lot of discussion on diversity, men, women. How do we promote women? How do men promote women? I think it's a joint conversation. We need to promote each other and work with each other, and not be in competition and conflict with each other, even though natural progression means we're going to be in competition with each other. You know, you need to be inclusive, work with the other side. You know, last night I was watching TV, and the absolutely horrific story that came out about a bombing, and they're attacking girls learning and to getting an education.
Yeah,
I was horrified, you know, and I'm thinking about, you know, I have this discussion with Sarah tomorrow about how do men and women work better together, and we can be fortunate that we can have these debates and these discussions on, you know, first woman to do this, first woman to do that. You rarely hear first man on the moon. We need to remove the first out of these conversations and just say Sarah Barnes-Humphreys. Wow, way to go. LinkedIn learning teacher. That's brilliant. Not first woman to X, Y, Z.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and really,
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely
I've had as many women bosses as I've had men bosses, and each bring a different learning experience to the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when I read this article, I think what resonated with me the most was really around how we need to stop expecting somebody to handle a situation or do something how we would do it, or because for the reasons that we would do it. So what it talks about in this article is how men can be allies to women, but how women also need to speak up and be very succinct and strategic or specific in what we're asking for. Because what it says is men are traditionally fixers, but they need something to solve. They need to have there needs to be something specific that they can do to really help in this situation. And so a couple of things that they suggested was women take the lead. Ask men to attend women's conferences. Go to lunch and talk about a challenge. Ask them to go to lunch with you to talk about a challenge that you might be having. Ask them for an introduction. If there's somebody that they know that you would like to be introduced to, ask them for the introduction. And men, do the introduction without even asking. Or, I mean, you can ask to see if it's something that that is relevant to them. But do the introduction. Ask them to put your name to be considered for a position, but make them specific requests so that we're not just relying on people doing just because we think they should be doing. You know?
I agree. And I don't know if it's just because we're not as intuitive. It's, we as men move forward, learn, progress as society expects us to progress. Women on the other side, all equally they're constantly getting barraged with you should be this, you should be that, you should do it this way, you should look this way, you should look that way. We have some incredibly spirited debates around the dinner table sometimes, because I'm in a household with 4 other women. Mm-hmm. And so there's some interesting conversations on how targeted ads do not lift you up. They actually push you down. Mm-hmm. And it's distressful for me. I can't for the life of me understand how marketing people haven't figured this out yet. And
sorry, go ahead.
Back to the workplace, for sure, you need to be clear, you need to be succinct, and you need to drive for what it is that you're looking for. Mm-hmm. Be intentional.
So Rebecca says, Peter, appreciate your intention, but she disagrees. If you want equality to be achieved eventually, we need to give women recognition and see women as leaders, which is true. I mean, that's what you were saying. Instead of the first woman to do whatever, we need to be positioning them and talking about them as leaders.
100%. Within Air Canada, we're a pretty well balanced environment. We have senior executives. It's a pretty balanced leadership. With Ariel, she's executive vice president people. We had our CIO was also a woman. The conversation needs to be name, title, success. Right.
Yeah, Rebecca, I really appreciate that comment. All right. So Peter, you can see how fast this goes. And we've got the last conversation to have. So I picked Molson Coors because we're both Canadian. We've got 2 minutes. What did you think about this topic? And guys, we've got all the articles listed in the comments of this post. And on my personal page, I will be over there in a few minutes to post it so that you guys can go and check this out. What I thought was really interesting, right now we're dealing with a cyber attack, I believe, on a gas pipeline, which is already creating issues and havoc all over the place. So the question I have for you is, how do we get a handle on cyber attacks in supply chain? Because 61% of manufacturing has had a cyber attack already, which is a really, really big number. So Peter, really quickly, what did you think?
I think, people need to pay attention to the links that they click. The cyber attacks, they're always trying to hack you. Strong IT back house, in office, protection, firewalls, all that is great. But I think 99% of all successful attacks come from somebody clicking a link when they didn't read the email address properly from where it came from. And we're constantly under attack.
Yeah.
We got the text on our phone. Oh, the parcel was unable to deliver your $138 credit. Please click this link to get your money. Yeah, right.
Right. Yeah, you've got to be a little bit more careful. And that's 61% of cyber attacks, just to give you a few more numbers, 75% outages, and 43% of those outages were for more than 4 days. And the costs around a cyber attack like the one-time cost just to get all the experts involved and to figure out all sorts of things just go up exponentially. And the shipments to your end consumer or your end customer gets pushed back. So Molson Coors pushed back all of their shipments from Q1 into the rest of 2021. And that's how long it's going to take them to overcome what has happened with the cyber attack. So Davin has said we are on time. Thank you guys all for joining us today. This 30 minutes goes by so fast, especially when we're having so much fun. And Peter, amazing to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
It was a lot of fun to be here. Thanks, Sarah, and all the best. And I wish you all the great successes. And I look forward to being back someday, maybe.